Good morning or good day, wherever you are. My name is Munir Ajam. I'm the founder of Uruk Project Management. Today, I want to talk about a topic we've been talking about for probably 15 or 20 years, which is Agile and what does it mean in project management and all of these things. We continue to see posts about this topic. I wrote a book. I called it Project Management Beyond Waterfall and Agile. I started working on that book about 10 years ago, and it was published in 2017. And yet here we are 10 years later from the time I was originally writing the book, and we're still talking about Agile and project management. So I want to clarify a few things very quickly in this video, which I try not to take too much time, but at least I need to focus on the key point. Wherever you hear the word Agile, always we need to think about what is the context. If no context is provided, because usually that's the case, on a lot of social media posts, there is no context provided. So people will talk about things and they start to mix things up within the same post. So you don't have a clue anymore on what they're talking about. So they start talking about Agile project management, then all of a sudden we start to hear about development, or we see things about agility, and there are different things. So personally, from years ago, I learned to try to filter things. And whenever I hear the word Agile, I immediately think of three different things. Agile and capital A, Agile with a small a, and agility. So what are these things and why are they different? And what is the Agile manifesto for software development? I'll touch on all of these things in this video. First, the concept of agility. Agility meaning being flexible, being dynamics, being responsive to change, being ability to pivot if you need to, when you need to, right? So agility is more of a practice that most organizations today, if they're not, if they don't do agility, or we say they're not agile, right? They are then fragile, right? That would mean if they are not able to respond to change or respond to the emergent market or trend, they could fail. And there are a lot of story in history about this, obviously with Nokia and others as well. And the BlackBerry and things of that nature. They were not able to adjust or adapt or move so forth. They were not agile, if we can say that, and they end up failing. So agility is a response to change, which is crucial in business, in management, in strategic planning, in project management, everywhere, right? So there is no problem with agility whatsoever. On the contrary, what we're saying, if you don't practice agility, then you are actually risking yourself and your business. And then we talk about Agile, usually with a small a. And in that case, obviously it doesn't matter whether it's small a or a capital A, it doesn't really matter. But a lot of people talk about Agile as project management. Well, if we go back to the Agile manifesto for software development, first, it is about software. Second is about development. If you read this Agile manifesto, whether you talk about the 4 values or the 12 principles of that manifesto, you don't find the word project or project management mentioned anywhere. So it's purely about software development. Okay, I'm willing to accept that we can go beyond software and we can say about product development. So whenever you are dealing with the development of a product, you are building something, whether it's software and code or facility, right? The idea that is what we call product development. You're building a product. So in that case, Agile development is a great idea where it applies. Because Agile development don't work everywhere. If you want to build a bridge, you cannot use Agile development, because the idea of Agile development is that you are analyzing, you're defining the problem, you're analyzing, right? You're designing, you're coding or building, and you're testing and you're releasing in a small increment that are usually, a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. And here there's confusion between Agile and Scrum. But the whole idea of Agile in the manifesto is continuous delivery of working product. We cannot do that in a bridge. I can do the foundation. I have to order material. I have to do foundation. I have to do, wait for concrete to cure. I have to put the columns. I have to put the bridge. And usually that takes weeks and months and cannot be done incrementally. I cannot build a piece of the bridge and then put it to use, because remember, the key word here, the key phrase is working product, working software. Right? I cannot put it to use until the whole bridge is complete. It's connected and it is safe and tested and stable. Right? And so agility or agile development in this case doesn't work with a bridge. It works great with software development or maybe writing a book. Obviously, I can maybe write the book and release every chapter by itself. Obviously, who knows? We don't do it that way, but it's possible. Or if I'm building an online course, I can maybe build a module, release it to market, and then later on add another, and every week I add another module or something. Sure, why not? That is where agile development could be helpful. However, notice I continue to talk about product development, agile development, not management of the project. Whether it's building a software or designing a course or building a bridge, I still have to go through the business need. Why do I need to do this? That's a business need. That is a business case. I have to conduct a feasibility study to determine whether I'm really capable of managing or building or achieving success on this project. I have to define the requirement, business, technical, corporate, whatever, political, regulation, depend on the nature of the work. I have to define those requirements. Then I design, I procure material if I need to, and so on. That is the project management method. Product development only happens when I'm ready to start building the product, whether it's physical or software or anything else. So when we talk about agile as project management, think again. Are we talking about agility? Or are we talking about agile product development? Or are we talking about a mess? I'll leave it for you to think about this and decide what's right and what's wrong. Wish you success. Munir Ajam. Until later. Bye-bye.